machine. Everything around us. Just all half an hour to get everything working. It's so temperamental. But I'm glad you're with us, and I'm glad we're heading out for the drive. So do join us for the next couple of hours. I know it'll probably be a little bit of a shorter drive today on account of only starting now. So what I want to do is we're just going to try and cross the river and head up north and then west and see what we can find. I really got to see an elephant. But if they're not in our area, they're not in our area. It's one of those things. Love to hear from you. Drive questions at Wildest on TV. And answer your questions. Do you have any? So basically today was one of our Mondays. You hear me talking about every day for us is a fun day, but every now and then a Monday is thrown into the mix. Today was a Monday. Nothing really worked when we got to town. My hair is an absolute 100-kilometer round trip in my Land Rover with the wind blowing. Turn my hair into a mess, and my makeup is all smudged, and my nails aren't done, but that's okay because the elephants won't mind, and you get to see animals, not my hair and makeup. Make up for lost time. We had a brief, very brief visual of a cheetah this morning. She was heading south, way into an area where I was looking for lion tracks when we lost signal. The same place where the lion tracks were, I didn't have signal. So I'm not really going to go back there. I don't think she would have turned 180 degrees, but she was definitely headed down towards Waterbuck. Same place that fire. Same place a couple of lion were headed. Other than that, I want to get up to Nyaleti Road to see what tracks may have come across Nyaleti. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Baboon. Who knows this map? Yes, that's a big monitor, is it? See his track there? You can see how his feet have actually, the claws have dragged forward. That's a big monitor, sure. Almost crocodile-sized monitor lizard. What was I going to say? Forget now. I forget. What should we do? Oh, that's what I was going to say. Another thing that kept us late is the post office. Now, if there's ever a post office that needs a complete revamp and a complete firing of all the stock, I can understand when they say when someone goes postal, it's not really the postal worker that goes postal, it's the customer in the post office. I was ready to go postal. In fact, there was a woman with me today. She went postal. She banged on the security door. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Banged on the security door. Demanded to see the manager. She'd been standing in the line for an hour. But really, it's holiday season, it's the beginning of the month, and they've got two tellers operating, and the one teller was slower than a snail. In fact, it makes snail look like Usain Bolt. For the half an hour that I stood there in the line, he hadn't done anything to the client that was waiting on this side of the window. And the other window, as it always is when there's somebody in front of you in the line, they've got the longest transaction to do, and all six of them had the longest transaction to do. So we were all getting really hot under the collar, and that's not really an unusual thing to do in the Hoedspruit post office, I have to be honest with you. I was expecting my meds, which is chronic meds, kind of thing that allows me to wake up every day. It's not something I can be trivial about. And it's something I've lost it in the post office many, many times because they are just so slack in that post office, it's unbelievable. And this poor lady was going mad. I was ready to go mad too. Ready to go postal. It was like, where's that Uzi when I need it? Yes, I was about to go primate. Yes, just talking about the baboons. I was going to go ape. No, I was about to go human, not ape. Anyways, it turned out to be not my meds. I'm glad I didn't make a big fuss because I have done before. I've been doing a song and dance and shouting and screaming, and then they tell me, well, can you phone this person who sent it? So I phone the pharmacy at the hospital that sends my meds, and they say, oh, oops, we forgot to send it. Meanwhile, I've been going primate in the post office, and it's not really there. But they are notoriously bad. Anyway, it's got a lovely parcel from Canada. A gorgeous t-shirt from a really close friend of mine who owns Montari Lodge. He sent me a t-shirt with my Land Rover on it. Not my mate. But still, I had to stand in the line for an hour. And then we took the jigger tire. Now, how long does it take to change the tire? When I've got the pneumatic equipment to get the tire off the rim. Not change the tire, but fix the tire. I'll tell you how long. It takes 2.5 hours. When it's holiday season, and every up-country Tom, Dick and Mary have their trailer tires and their car tires, everything, because they're now in the bush and they've got all their city tires and they come to the bush and they all get punctured. And there's a long line of tires that have to be fixed. Holiday season. When you live in a town that has a population of, say, 2,000, in the holiday season it bumps up to 20,000. And you can understand the frustration. And then I went to pay for something to find that I'd lost one of my bank cards. So then I had the misfortune of having to stand in the line at the bank to cancel my bank card. The other stuff was fairly quick. Okay, nothing this way. We're going to go back. I thought we'd come to Albedo Pan and see if there was anything like that, but there isn't. It's very, very quiet. Not even a buffalo. That big Nyala bull at the back there, but I'm not going to see him with the camera. I'm not even going to bother. Not bother. I'm going to stop. Such a relief to be back in the bush. All I need now is an elephant, and that'll put the day right for me. culture shock to be in that sort of humdrum of madness. And Hoedspruit is a small town, not even a big town. It's a small town that ordinarily is nice and quiet, to get everything done, there's no stress. But then you will get all these people from gangster's paradise, Gauteng, and freestyle, and they've all got their SUVs with a trailer attached, so the single car parking at the supermarket and the shopping complex, they don't really cater for. And when I say trailer, I don't mean like caravan sleeping in the trailer, I mean trailer, just sort of pack all your luggage in. I don't know what you call that. We call it a trailer. I don't mean trailer as in trailer park, as one might imagine in the States. I mean trailer like this little thing on two wheels that they tow at the back of their SUV, because the kids take up all the room and they need space for the luggage. Maybe someone in America can help me. What is that called, that thing that you tow? Is it trailer? Because we call it the thing that you sleep in, the thing that got bed and kitchen and everything, we call that a caravan, not a trailer. But like every SUV has got a trailer on it, and almost like every SUV that is there, the only off-roading they've done is when they park on the sidewalk when they pick up the kids at school, the only time they go off-road. Suddenly they're in the bush. Wife, kids, granny, grandpa, and trailer. I'm not knocking it. Just, they can be a little bit much. Glad they're coming to the bush. I really am, because it creates awareness, and I hope they behave themselves. One thing I did have in my post box that I wanted to show you was a little leaflet from ProTrack, who are the anti-poaching guys. These are the guys that do all the anti-poaching patrols here in Thornybush. ProTrack also does all the anti-poaching for a number of other private reserves. They man the gate coming into the reserve, so ProTrack are quite instrumental in trying to control the whole thing. And well, the camera's just not going to do it justice. I mean, one of the photographs they've got on the front here is almost like a grave marker, and these little white crosses that they put up in Hoedspruit every year for each rhino that has been poached. And so far this year it's like 415 when this went to print, but because there's like 2 or 3 rhino a day or something, even this is out of date. But I just want to bring this to your attention, how bad, how dire the situation is. 415 so far this year when this was printed. I can't show you all the photographs or anything. Probably some of them are quite graphic. It tells you about the aim of ProTrack. Now, some of you might have seen a few weeks ago, we bumped into a couple of the ProTrack guys doing one of their anti-poaching patrol. They're constantly on patrol here, teams of 2. And there was a huge discussion on Facebook. Oh, well, maybe they were poachers, and there was paranoia. But the thing is that ProTrack have their uniforms, and they also have their logo. Their logo is quite a nice logo. It's going to show you here, so you can see that. It's sort of a target with a footprint in it. ProTrack anti-poaching unit. Can you see that? Okay, and it's got numbers and things, but I'm going to give you some details. In fact, I'll just give you the website. And if you're interested in finding out about ProTrack, or maybe if you want to contribute, leopard! Looky! The young male leopard was here, walking up this road this morning. See, we went to the west. We didn't come up on the eastern side, so we would have maybe story of my life. If we'd driven here, maybe we would have seen it. Here are some statistics from Protract, just by the way. No reflection on Protract because they're a fairly new entity only in the last few years. If we go back to 2007, there were 13 rhino poached in South Africa in 2017, when the table started turning, because by 2008 the number jumped to 83. Question in a minute, thanks. 2008, 83. By 2009 the number had jumped to 122, and I can remember in 2010 when it jumped to 333. That was the year when we were doing our rhino thing. Tara, no, actually that was 2011. But it was 2010, 333, almost one a day. By 2011, it had gone up to 448 rhino for the year. And last year, 668. And if anything, that trend is to continue with 413 already by this time in the year. It's estimated that, what they say, 800 plus rhino. There aren't enough rhino in the world for this plant to lose 800 rhino a year, and that's in South Africa alone. And that has got nothing to do with the anti-poaching patrols and the money that is going into it. That is almost 90% got to do with our government. And I have to be honest, I'm very, very surprised, and I'm really grateful to see that President Obama's recent visit has pledged a few $1 million to help curb the rhino poaching. But yeah, whoop-de-doo, not going to help, because the government's going to stick that money in their pocket. I don't know, I'm just so skeptical. It just makes me so mad. Yes, money will help. Money will help with equipment, it will help with manpower, it will help with vehicles, it will help with food, it will help with all sorts of things to pay for them. But all we're really doing is we're feeding the rhino poaching thing. It's got to stop. It's just got to stop. It's not that South Africa can't afford to lose 800 rhino this year. The world, every single one of you that are watching, every single human on this planet can't afford for this planet to lose 800 rhino this year. Put pressure on the Far East. Do something. Something has got to change. Because the more money we throw at anti-poaching patrols, the more money they throw into their poaching efforts. They buy helicopters, they buy silenced weapons, they buy... Sorry, I get very emotional about this. You know, I can do nothing. I could donate $10 if I could. It's going to do nothing compared to $10 million that's been donated by the American government. Money is not going to stop rhino poaching. Money is going to feed it. Because it's all about money. We need to just shoot the people that are involved. I don't know. Everybody cries out about capital punishment and things, but really, the planet is at stake here. It's got nothing to do with it's got nothing to do with... Never mind. Yeah, I better change the subject. I think you understand what I'm getting at, folks. It's just so upsetting, really. I don't know what you can do. Because often when I start ranting about this whole thing, I get people that email me and say, okay, Mark, we understand your frustration, we understand your passion, we understand where you're coming from. What can we as an individual do? I don't know what the individual can do. I don't have an answer to that yet. Put pressure on your government to put pressure on the government who has the cartels that are driving the whole thing. Hello, Mr. Buffalo, chewing your cud. You're just so oblivious to the whole thing. You have no idea what we humans are doing. Anyways, Becky's got a question for me to change the subject, so... before she tells me. www, as if it could be anything else. Protrack APU. So it's PROTRACK APU. Protrack APU, one word, .co.za. And that is the Protrack website. There are some really gruesome pictures on this brochure of rhino that have been poached and cut up, and there are also some really beautiful pictures of rhino with their babies, and it says we need them like this. And there are various sort of contact names and numbers. Lee Barkus, Leigh, Lee Barkus is one of the contact names. But if you are interested in finding out how an individual can help, I believe Protrack are doing a really good thing, until I hear otherwise. They're in charge of a lot of the reserve boundary fences, the gates going into the reserves and that kind of stuff. And they're saying that one of their major setbacks is fuel costs to be able to patrol the areas. I'm not asking you to donate, I'm just saying, if you want to read more about one of the biggest forces in anti-poaching right now, it's Protrack. That's the website, protrackapu.co.za. And I've said my bit. I don't go to town, I don't go to city, but let alone city, I don't go to town much. But when I do, and then of course I'm exposed to news and stuff, really it can be upsetting. Everybody wants to come and enjoy the bush, but really, what are we doing? We need to put pressure on our politicians and our government. I had a fat cat politician drive past me today in his BMW X6. I think it probably cost about R1 million, that car. He was, and when I say fat cat, his stomach was touching the steering wheel, and he blew past me and gave me a disdainful look because I'm driving a 35-year-old Land Rover and I was holding him up, and he couldn't travel at 160 kilometers an hour. I'd be surprised if he's one of the ones that's getting benefits out of it all. Our politicians are the main culprits here, and I'll say that openly, that if it wasn't for the greed of our politicians, we wouldn't have this rhino problem, because we never did. We were the forefront of rhino conservation. South Africa was what kept rhinos going since the 1950s. It is South Africa and our rhino breeding programs in KwaZulu-Natal that kept rhino populations growing and breeding and repopulating areas where they had been wiped out. And for 50, nearly 60 years, we managed to. There was no poaching in this country, none whatsoever. It was unheard of. There wasn't even one rhino poached per year in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, in the early 2000s. Now suddenly we're on target for 800 rhino, and what's changed? The ANC has changed. That's what's changed. Our government has changed. Mr. Buffalo, I don't know what to do, dude, but I want to move past you, and I know that with your nose right on the road. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go around. Why don't I do that? I'll tell you what, you stay there and relax. I'll go around, okay? You just relax and chew the cud. I'll go around you like this. Baby wild pear. Hello, baby wild pear. When are you going to come into flower? And there you go. Does it look like he cares very much? No. What I was saying, what I was doing. Yes. Yeah, that's how our government is.
Hey, brainwave.
I say try and break it off. Freedom of speech, I hope. Otherwise I'll be locked up by tomorrow. I haven't even started yet, but I'm going to change the subject because there's a question. Okay, go ahead. Hello Sharon in Memphis. I suppose an appropriate question. In fact, I didn't even follow up on it, but it's pointless following up on a leopard track, and we were in the afternoon in the trap, probably from last night or something, after he was behind our kitchen. Okay, Sharon is asking, I just saw a track from a leopard, and thanks for the change in subject, Sharon, because it brings me back to the reality of what we're doing right now, instead of blowing my whistle, or my trumpet, what do you call it? On the bandwagon. No, what do you call it? Bandwagon? No, bandwagon. Something on the bandwagon is when you sort of follow the crowd. But Sharon was asking, I just saw tracks from a young male leopard. She wants to know, first of all, how did I know that it was young? And what else was it? How did I know it was young and how did I know it was male? A combination of factors, Sharon. First of all, there isn't a female leopard that would be that big in terms of track size. No leopardess would have tracks that big. Second of all, if it was a big male, an adult male, his tracks would be bigger. Considerably bigger. No, not really. Marginally bigger. Other than that, it's local knowledge. You've always got to include local knowledge. Whenever you're tracking, whenever you're working in area, that's why it's always difficult the first few weeks in area to know things. You can never make assumptions like I just made because, well, I suppose I still would have said young male. But local knowledge tells me that this territory is inhabited by the Malawan female leopard, and that she has her two cubs. Look at it, they just chopped the tree. This is a tree. I want to show you something as well while I'm at it. But just to finish this question, and I don't know if you can look at me. Oh, standing on the thorns that came off of this tree. But just knowing having an understanding of the local knowledge. That's very dusty. There's a lot of dusty inside. Sorry about that. But I have found his tracks so many times now that I can recognize his tracks. He's got very distinctive tracks. Bigger than his mother's and bigger than his brother's. And he's the only young male that's going to move around in this area. We had his tracks outside our kitchen last night, or yesterday, was it this morning? Yeah, from last night.
From last night, yeah.
Yeah, he was around our kitchen last night. And he obviously came up this way. Oh, look, piece of fur. It's almost the same as the other piece of fur that I found.
It's like breadcrumbs.
Scrub hair fur. Other pieces somewhere here in the dash.
Maybe it's a message.
Okay, I'll wear it in my hat. Poor little scrub hair. Anyway, that's just something that one learns over time, Sharon. It's one of those things. Do you want to try it, Aaron?
Yeah, I want to try.
It's gum. It's the original chewing gum. Acacia gum. It's quite sticky. Of course, it's got no sugar in, so it's not as sweet as normal gum. But it's actually quite nutritious. Very sticky. But there's a species of animal that actually depends on this kind of gum throughout the dry season. It's called a bush baby or a nachapi. And they'll scar the bark to get to it. This is this tree that was pushed over the road by the elephants the other day, here on the Nyaleti Road. I would have thought that they would have been a little bit kinder to it than just chopping it, but we all know what thought did. But the gum is a defense mechanism of the tree, and a lot of acacias do this when there's an injury. It's much like our white blood cells come to a cut or an injury to prevent infection and stuff. Acacias produce a gum. A lot of trees do. Pines do. A lot of trees do. They produce a gum to prevent insects and other things from getting in there. But obviously the tree can't produce that much. But the only gum that it is exuding is around the cambium layer, around the edges where it transport all the nutrients. Can't do anything about the dead wood that is the heart of the tree, that is causing the skeleton of the tree. But it is exuding a lot of gum around the edges here. And if you look at the ingredients list of, say, chewing gum and a lot of candies and things, you'll see in the ingredients list gum arabica or gum acacia. And that's that stuff that's harvested. Look here. There's a droplet of gum that will eventually become amber one day. Very, very pretty. So in these dry months, when there are not that many insects around, things like bush babies and even the vervet monkeys and baboons for that matter depend a lot on the gum. In fact, they will scar the bark, they will scar the tree with their canine teeth to make the trees weep gum so that they can come around and harvest it almost every day. Now I dropped it.
But it's in a red amber now.
Oh, there it is. I wanted to keep it. It's a really pretty little ball of gum. What's this radio telling me? Nothing. This radio is dead. It is not working. Now it is. Okay. Tracks come back here. There is tracks now. Although looks like a different cat. Maybe. wonder who that is. Are those tracks there? That leopard, is that?
Yeah.
Nick, come in. Gaga? I copied. Does anybody know about these Maduro Ingwe Konzo going west on Nyaleti? Yeah, probably from this morning. I know that Nick was doing a walk this morning. I thought maybe it's fine. Okay, copied. Anything else this afternoon? Okay, thanks. Has anyone followed up on that concern? Okay, copy. No, I left just east of Reedbuck Fan, heading down towards Thickers. But I don't have signal down there, so I couldn't follow very long. No, she was already south of my plotters and Malawan cut line when I left it. Elephant 11 come back south. They're running out of time. They're going to have to make a change to their plan somehow. Somebody's going to have to give them a message. My infrasound isn't that good to be able to connect with them, but I'll try. Leopard carries on. Going west here. Oh, you beautiful children. Sorry. That mating dance of horn will make sense. Moment, elephant are up the two-boy stand heading east, but they're still too far north for us. Like that. They're not going to be there. Other big group, we had wild bug up in the north, and they lost. At this time of the day, it could be 10 kilometers away. So we'll be on the lookout for dog tracks. In the meantime, Hello, Kevin. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston. Kevin wants to know if there is any change in animal behavior due to weather. We're going to get a spotty signal now. I'm just going to pause there, Kevin, get your question. As we get through this little patch where I know there might be a signal issue. Looks like our leopard left the road. See if we can pick up on his tracks going toward 1 gram. Excuse me. This junction is a little bit iffy. Signal. Wild dogs. Kevin's question. Signal's better, yeah? Okay. Kevin? Wanting to know about animals' behavior going into colder weather. Well, we've actually had colder weather. We're actually moving into warmer weather. Luckily enough. I mean, there's weird stuff happening here, Kevin. We're supposed to be in the middle of winter, but knobthorns are full bloom, although they were last year by this time. How often you get there? Changes in animal behavior as the weather gets colder, storing food, etc., etc. The rodents, yes, rodents always do that. Rodents can never have enough food, so they're always storing things like squirrels, couch mouse, field mice, all the different kind of rodents that we have. But there's nothing the antelope, there's nothing the herbivores can do, there's nothing that the predators can do. They can't store food, they can't. In terms of their eating behavior, there's no change. They've still got to process food nonetheless, irrespective of weather. Behavior, yes, behavior does change, in that if we have a warm day like today, and then tomorrow a cold front moves in, yes, that changes behavior, and then now we're not seeing any animals. When there's colder weather, we see even less animals. They tend to stick to thickets. It takes them a while to adjust to temperatures. They do have a little mechanism of being able to do the equivalent of, say, putting on a jersey or something, in that their coats, they can vary the angle of their hair and their bodies. What that we call piloerection. And we notice it ourselves. Well, it's not a conscious thing, it's a natural action the body does. When we get cold and we get goosebumps and our hair stands up, that's called piloerection. And when you're an animal and you've got a lot of fur, all your hair stands up, it actually makes a huge, because it changes, first of all, it changes how the air moves over your body, and second of all, what it does is it increases the gap between your hairs, the hairs on the body, so that it can form an insulating layer against the body, and that the air that moves over the body doesn't interfere with the little layer of warm air that is trapped there. So, although animals have means to deal with colder temperatures, sudden colder temperatures, it doesn't mean that they carry on doing what they're doing. They still tend to go into thickets, and they tend to lie down, and they tend to become less active when it gets colder. But the same thing can be said for when it suddenly gets hotter, because when it suddenly gets hotter, also there's a problem, because they've also got to adjust to those temperatures. And while the body to some extent is self-regulatory in the way it regulates temperature, there are things that animals have to do, like panting, and you look at kangaroos in Australia, how they lick their forearms so that the evaporation of the sweat on their forearms that's close to the arteries of their forearms actually cools their blood down. Or elephants that flap their ears, crocodiles that keep their mouths open, all sorts of things that, and all sorts of I suppose all sorts of things that animals do to regulate their body temperature, or help regulate it. But yeah, obviously, well, not obviously, but yes, very much so. It does change how much they move around. I think it would be hard to point that out in a place like this, where generally speaking there aren't really that many animals down south here in Thornybush, for whatever reason it may be, partly because most of it is just silver cluster leaf and the grasses that come along with it, silver cluster leaf and quarry bush, and not very palatable browsing, not very palatable grazing. It's hard to gauge the difference, different temperatures, gauge the difference in animal behavior, because generally there's actually not really that much, to be honest. You only have to spend 3 hours driving around with us to see, and sometimes you've got to be very, very lucky when there are animals. But that's the way the bush is. It's one of those things. It's kind of hard to see the difference. If we were driving through an area where every day we see tons and tons of animals, and then suddenly the temperature change, I promise you would notice the difference very quickly. It's hard to notice the difference when we're not really seeing that much to begin with. It's not easy. It's hard to find animals here in Thornybush, the southern end. I think up north the vegetation changes. It becomes very similar to that of the Thornybush. It's a completely different environment up in the north, which is where all the animals hang out. More palatable trees, more palatable grasses, game rangers that don't stall their Land Rovers. Okay, I threw that last one in as a joke, in case you didn't pick it up. Mildred, yoo-hoo, we here. She must be in the water somewhere. It's so bright. The sun reflecting on the water. Yep. No crocodilius. There's kingfishers there. buffalo, no kingfisher. No kingfishers there. No buffalo, no crocodile. No heron. No fishing heron. We were really lucky to find her out of the water today. We were super lucky. In fact, she was so close. The grass was in the way. We couldn't really get a good look at her. The cat's still walking west. Not very fresh. Doesn't help me at all. That's not even any point following it because he could be... Oh, that tree stump again. Always turn that corner and I want to look at the road, just look at tracks, and I hit that tree stump with my back wheel. Always happens. I always forget. When is it going to sort of sink in? And I'm still looking for a squirrel for James. Who was this? Gigi. That's a lovely name. Hello, Gigi. A black eagle. Yeah. Okay. This I got it here. Found that eagle's in a tree. Okay, that's got to be a rookie ranger. Notice none of the other guys responded because it was like, go back to school, dude. Got a black eagle here near a nest. No, sorry, dude. They only nest in mountains and cliffs and things. And he's a rookie ranger. He's a new kid. He's like probably his first game drive ever. You learn quickly. You just make that kind of assumption. Where was I? Prince Edward Island, Canada. Was it Prince Edward? Gigi? Where was I with Gigi? Sorry, I just had the most bizarre message over the radio. Matthew's King, there was a black eagle near a nest. Okay, it's not highly impossible. But it is just so improbable. Somebody took the bait. Anyway, Gigi was saying... Oh, wait. Not 100%, but pretty sure. Can't hear you, Becky. The other radio's on. Okay. If it's a Black Eagle, I will personally drive up there and apologize to Matthew personally. Well, I said personally. There's a Tinker Barbet. Sharon, Austria. I think it's a Tinker Barbet. Or maybe I'm doing the same thing that Matthew's doing. But it is. The other front Tinker. Let's turn it down. Sitting behind a twig now. Can you see it good from there? And forward. It's going to be too high. We're not going to see its forehead. But anyways, I remember Sharon was asking me about Tinker Barbets, or also known as a Tinker Bird. The other front of Tinker Barbet. Gigi, you see how much we can be distracted. First by the radio, with reports of a bird that actually could not be here. This far from the mountain, not possible. And now Tinker Barbet. But Gigi was asking, she can't hear the squeak anymore. We've got a new jigger. Yeah, I bought one today. I just put it on my credit card, Gigi. And the real answer is, I used a bit of Q20, which is our South African equivalent of WD-40. Sprayed copious amounts of it on the prop shaft, and it seems to have settled it for a little while. But I can't identify where the squeak is coming from unless I have the prop shaft turning while I'm underneath that. And since you have to drive the Land Rover to be underneath it to see the prop shaft turning, I'm trying to come up with an answer how I'm going to do that. Tinker Barbet's gone. So for the time being, I just spray it with some lubricant, and it tends to keep the squeaking down a little bit. So it wasn't the wheels. You could tell by the rotation of the squeak that it was a faster rotation than the wheel, which meant prop shaft, and the front prop shaft between the front differential and the transfer box. Four-wheel drive transfer box. And so I just made sure that there was enough lubricant on both universal joints and both flanges, where it either goes into the differential or whether it goes into the transfer box. If you can find the squeak and you can spray it, all the better. Sometimes but no fixing required under the circumstances. Aaron Sling.
Come on.
Shadows.
Attack.
I can't believe that somebody's actually going there to check out. But I suppose the rookie's got to learn, eh? How to get the wings otherwise. I guess I made mistakes when I was a rookie. Had this juvenile bachelor sitting in a tree. And my friend Mike, and he was in his Land Rover with his guests, and I was there too. So we were sitting, we're looking at this juvenile bachelor, and we're thinking, but what kind of owl is that? Must be a juvenile. And we were just going through the possibilities. Tracks with my Dodangala and my Fazangala heading down thickest towards Candelabra and then heading south probably. Well, I don't know, but I couldn't follow those corners. Maybe Papa's Dam way. So where? There was definitely my passing gun of it. Telling me there were 2 male line tracks. Was it? Pretty dope. Never mind. Oh, look at that big snake. Yo. Bro. That's like a cobra or a mumbo or something. Okay, so now, which way is it going? No. I'll show you. could even be a black or a big cobra. But you know how a snake moves like this?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in this curve, as it curves, it's pushing against this side, so it's going that way. Do you understand what I mean? Because it's pushing on the outside of the S bend. So here it's pushing sand that way, and it's pushing sand that way. This curve is pushing sand that way.
Okay.
Okay. If it was going that way, we would have the sand built up on this side, and that side would be flat.
Alright.
Yeah.
So it's like basically getting grip.
Yes.
Geez, that's a big snake there.
That is a big snake. That's a 6-8 foot snake. That's a big one. And there are no big snakes here other than the big, what we call elapids, which are the cobras, including the black mamba. I can't think of any other snake that would maybe not even a boomslang. Boomslang wouldn't make that. Also quite a heavy snake by the amount of sand that it has pushed over to the side. Interesting that it's a nice warm day in the middle of winter, there's still snakes moving around. I wish you could see one. Channel 11. No, dove.
Come on, dove.
Third time you fight to a tree. Off you go, child. Throw it up. That way. That way.
Go that way.
Hey, hornbill. Is anybody out there? Alright, I'll eat my head. What on earth is a black eagle doing? So I don't know how experienced Jonathan is, but Jonathan has just been and saying that it is a black eagle, the rose eagle.
What?
No, yeah, no. I was busy on the other radio. I'll never turn you down, Rick. Ask me anything. Okay, only 2 strikes. But it was important. Yes, I understand. But it was Hello, Charlie. So how good are they? I don't really dig the this morning the road's been dragged again. Someone got a serious obsession about keeping this road smooth and flat, and can only imagine what it must take in diesel to keep it. Charlie, they modify existing dens, they modify existing burrows in Termitaria. How big are they? They can be very big. There can be quite a network of burrows underground where the cubs can get into tight corners where larger adults can't get to them, or other animals can't get to them. And I can only go by what I'm led to believe. I've never been inside a hyena den. I've never sent a camera in, so I haven't the faintest idea. Not a very wise idea to climb into a hyena den. Very restricting, tiny little crawl space, and when there's a hyena mommy gnashing her teeth at you, probably not a very good idea. But I imagine, based on what I've seen of hyena dens with full entrances and just the size of them, that they can be quite big. Hope that helps. I don't know if I can't really answer it with more detail. I don't have figures. I don't have any way to tell you how big, because it varies. It's not a standard size. It's like a standard 2-bedroom house, 2-bedroom size type thing. 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. Playroom, no bathroom, playroom, TV room. No, I'm really not sure how big they can be underground. I guess they vary in size quite considerably. What is that thing? Waxpool Dam. Funny, today feels like an autumn day and we passed the winter already. Just stop and have a... hang on. Stop here quickly. Look and listen around Waxpool Dam. really anything here. Except another Land Rover. Coming from the other side. If that's Hannes, then I'm going to wait here for him because no, it's not.
Wait.
Not Hannes. Adam. Maybe. Wait, I can make a noise. I really wish I could go and see that Vero's eagle. And I don't know, somehow I've got to confirm it for myself. Go ahead. Tisha. How many species of birds of prey? Sorry, let's put it. Send that down. Sorry, Becky. I'm really trying to listen to that other radio as well, and it's not working because now I forgot the other part of that question. How many different birds of prey? And I haven't the faintest idea. We've got to have a good dozen different eagles, sea vultures, white-backed, cape, lappet-faced, white-headed, hooded. Lappet-faced, cape, white-backed, white-headed, hooded. 5 or 6 species of vulture. Got to have at least half a dozen species of owl. Got to have at least maybe more than half a dozen species of accipiters. Of course, that's not including the migrants. Eagles, not including the migrants, another half dozen. I've never counted, I've never even thought of it. It's never even occurred to me to think of how many different raptors we've got. This thing's beeping in my ear. Those are terrapins, just their heads sticking out. Those are all terrapins. Go closer, you can zoom in on them. Just had a vehicle pass behind us, so we're not going to, we'll let the dust settle before we continue. Oh, and there's a monarch butterfly that was caught in the water, but because it's poisonous, nobody's going to eat it. And what was Tisha's? Was it Tisha that was asking that question? Spell it for me, please. Okay, and the second part of the question? Oh, right. Tisha, not Tisha. Because I know that Tisha, a local friend of mine is named Tisha. In fact, he used to work with us a while there. Tisha wants to know how many large species of cats there are. How many big... Well, there's the 3 main cats, lion, leopard, cheetah. And then, well, none of the other cats can really be considered large cats. Look at all the terrapins. I wish I could go and save that butterfly. Need a long stick. I hate butterflies drowning.
We have our stick.
I don't know if it's long enough, but we can try. I don't like butterflies drowning. You mean the errant stick?
Errant? Huh.
Oh, paper thorn. Oh, you know what else I can hear? Bird that calls Victor. Victor, let's put it in the sun. Let's dry your wings, child. I can see why you fell in the water. You've got a damaged wing. And you're missing how many legs? The terrapins have eaten 3 of your legs. It's a 3-legged butterfly. African monarch.
That was quite cool. Can't hold on, huh?
Missing 3 legs, and while that might not seem important to an insect that spends most of its time flying around, unfortunately its sense of smell and its taste buds are mostly situated in its legs, so especially the front pair. Very similar to the North American monarch. I just wonder what's wrong with this wing. Look how this wing's all folded. I think the terrapins have been having a go at it. It's lost half of its left antenna. I think this poor child is well, she's battling. But since the monarch actually feeds on the milkweed plant, and the milkweed is a poisonous plant, the butterfly actually becomes a poisonous butterfly. And the one thing that distinguishes this butterfly from its mimic, because you do get a species of butterfly known as the variable mimic that mimics the monarch. The wings look almost the same, but it's that polka dot body that gives it away. The polka dot body of the monarch that is kind of warning creatures that it's not palatable. But this poor child has a deformity in its wing, and that's probably what made it end up in the water. I wish I had some sugar water or something for you, child, but I don't. I've got some water, but like you need water like an Eskimo needs ice.
Give it that gum.
I don't have any more gum. Oh, that piece of acacia gum.
Would it work?
Well, if I put some, where is it? I put it in my pocket. There it is.
Yeah.
Trying to pick up, I can see its tongue coming out. Trying to get some, if I wet the gum, my saliva, touch its foot. No, doesn't want to eat acacia gum. Sun's going down. We need to start moving. I don't know what to do. It's got 1 leg on the left and 2 legs on the right, and this poor child is not going to be flying anywhere in a hurry.
Put it in a branch.
Oh, I guess I could do that. Well, at least it's not going to die a watery grave surrounded by terrapins. See, it suddenly got comfortable on the steering wheel. Doesn't help you, child, because I got to drive now.
Imagine we had a...
Look, there's a butterfly driving the jigger.
Jigger pilot.
Jigger pilot, co-pilot. Navigator. Oh, and our African monarchs don't migrate the way the North American monarchs do. It's a really beautiful butterfly, actually. Its name is Danaus crassipus aegyptus. Spend the night, and I don't know what we're going to do. Actually, wait, hang on, there's some flowers down here. I'll put it on some of this I think there's some jasmine or something down here. I know there's some flowers. You might be able to get a bit of nectar. And when I get an insect like this and it's really worn out, struggling for too long, all it needs is a bit of nectar or sugar water or honey. Yes, here's some, or there's some, no, it's not jasmine, plumbago.
It's called the butterfly jasmine.
Yeah, plumbago.
Jasmine the butterfly.
So it's butterfly called jasmine.
Yeah.
I'll put it where it is. Yes, flowers are there.
Not holding on.
I tried. Don't know if it'll work. Don't know if the plumbago is any good for it. It's not like it's milkweed or anything. But who knows? Maybe it'll find something there. And tomorrow it'll flap its wings and it'll create an air current that'll create a tornado in Oklahoma. Chaos theory. Sorry, Oklahoma. Okay, not Oklahoma. Okay, Becky, yeah. But Charlie, you're in for the rest, aren't you? Are there any odd ones? Yes. Signal's not very nice. Okay. Well, Charlie. Okay. Turn your volume up. You'll hear them answering you. Okay. Charlie wants to know if they're aardvark here. Yes, aardvark are, I won't say common, but they do occur here. But they're very, very rarely seen. I mean, really, really rare. Rarely. Keen to find out what they found. Had the radio down a little bit, but had this dispute over the effect of certain tracks. I can't believe that they dragged this road twice a day. Yeah. Louisville, Kentucky. Hello, Marcia. What? Oh, Volta. And it just landed. That's interesting because this is where that tawny eagle were. I mean, this is almost exactly where those lions killed that wildebeest a few weeks ago. But there was nothing left there, so I don't know what a vulture would be doing here. Catch there. Marsha. Wanting to know the cheetah we saw this morning is the mother of the 4 cubs, and if so, how far are they? Or no, this is a different female we saw this morning, Marsha. Those others, the cheetah and the cubs way up in the north. Well, it's possible that she might come hunting this far south. Not really likely. So it just landed there now? Yeah. Okay, so it came from somewhere close by. Lifting off the ground, maybe. Hello, Marjo, in the Netherlands. asking if the cheetah this morning was alone. Marjo was under the impression that they're sort of in groups. No, Marjo, she was alone. Cheetah are generally solitary, especially females. They will be solitary. They don't ever group up with other females. Only time you see cheetah, more than one cheetah female, is when the female with her cubs, the youngsters. And you might find sub-adults together in a group. You might find males together in a coalition, but you won't find two adult females together. I don't believe it ever happens. Sub-adults, yes, but adults, no. Against their nature. They are generally kind of solitary, but they're not entirely solitary. It's not strictly solitary. They spend time with their children until their youngsters are sub-adults, and then the sub-adults themselves, after about 2 years, when they start moving out on their own, they'll stay together as a coalition, even if it's 2 males and a female, or 2 females and a male, or 3 young females. They'll stay together for a little while and then slowly split up, but it's only really males that might stay together and form a coalition. But no, they're not gregarious. They don't live in groups. Yes, she was alone. For this morning, she was alone. Whether she had cubs that she left somewhere, who knows? But we only saw one cheetah. We can neither assume she was alone, nor can we assume that she was with anyone else. We can just say that we saw one cheetah briefly for a few seconds. That's all we can say. With no further details of whether she was alone or cubs or without cubs. She wasn't lactating, which is why I say she could very well have cubs somewhere. Cubs that already weaned. She wasn't lactating, and she was clearly on the hunt and on the move. Got to remember when we see animals, and I'm talking about animals that we maybe only see once, rather than animals we see over length of time. When we only see an animal once, we can neither assume that it is alone, nor can we assume that it is with someone, because we are viewing it for a brief moment in the years and years and years of its lifetime, and we would have to follow it day in and day out and get an idea over many 24-hour periods to see whether it is part of a group or part of a family or something like that. It's like when we see a giraffe on its own or an elephant on its own. And that's one of the first questions I get is, why is it on its own? And this is not necessarily from viewers. This is the kind of question I get from people on my Land Rover when I'm doing safaris. Look, there's a pelvis. I'm going to show this. I haven't seen it before, but probably a kudu or something. Looks like it's too small for a wildebeest or a zebra, but it's about kudu size. Pelvic girdle.
What it could do is can't do now.
Indeed. So yeah, we as humans, we always seem to think that things have to be together, standing next to each other to be together. A lot of people don't realize that when we're seeing an animal, and I suppose I'm even making that assumption, seeing that cheetah today. But cheetah excluded from the statement. But when you see one giraffe or one elephant or something, with the kind of thick bush that we have, we never know when there are others around. wood or a barber or something just went into that hole in that tree. It's a bit too dark to see deep in there. Interesting, we need to monitor that nest. Other hand, I guess it's a barber. Back home for the night. But you see, we would need to see a radius of a few hundred meters clearly to establish whether an animal is on its own or not. Because sometimes we only see one individual and there might be a crowd or a group or a family, something. But with that cheetah, I'm pretty sure. I'm 100%, not even I'm almost 100% positive, I'm 100% positive she was on her own. Because she was neither calling nor looking for any other individuals. She was on her own mission. Ladrongo. Yes, Miss Becky. Amanda in Alabama. Do snakes often bite and kill other larger animals in the bush? No, they don't. Very, very seldom. Snakes can't really afford to waste their venom. They can't really afford to just randomly bite things. And most animals, especially the larger animals, make enough of a, I won't say noise, because snakes don't have hearing as such. They don't have ears. But snakes have very, very sensitive vibratory sensors where they can tell either from the heat sensing or with this various different methods that snakes can tell whether other animals are around. And they get out of the way. Because, you've got to remember, snakes, very long, thin, almost helpless creature. Yeah, it's got its venomous bite, but whoop-de-doo, it's not going to help the snake once it's been trod on. See, one thing about snakes that's really unusual and rather remarkable is that their lungs, they have very, very long, their lungs extend almost the entire length of their body. And consequently, any animal stepping on a snake, no matter how briefly, can damage the lung. And also, you've got to remember as well that snakes' ribs also extend all the way. They don't only have a few ribs. Snakes got ribs all the way down their body, and they are as thin as herringbone. I mean, they're very, very fragile. And if something stood on a snake, it would puncture the lung. It would break the ribs, some of the ribs, and puncture the lung, and the snake would die a really slow, sad, and horrible death. And it doesn't really help a snake to use its venom once it's been trod on. Some snakes will visibly show themselves or make noises if they're in danger. But generally speaking, one of the reasons why we don't see snakes is because nature has given them an amazing detection system where they can detect large creatures and large things moving around so they can hide away and creep down a hole, climb under a log, or get into a tree, or go into thick grasses, or just get out of the way of things. I guess it does happen, very, very seldom. Occasionally maybe it does happen that something steps on a snake and gets bit. I know it's happened to cattle. It's hard to tell sometimes if it happens in nature because of the scavengers. Something gets stuck and then suddenly there's this free meal going around. It doesn't take long for things to find it. So I don't know the frequency. I would say often. I suppose in the summer months, very, very seldom. I know there are incidents in India of elephants being bitten by cobras and stuff, but I personally haven't ever witnessed any. Well, it's more a case of pushback. Nyala. I haven't really found any carcasses that I've that I've suspected have been from snakebite, because you would find quite a distinctive pattern in the sand around the carcass where the animal would have been struggling. So while it can happen, I don't believe it happens very often. I don't believe. Okay, I'm worried we're going to lose signal if I go down here, and it's already... That's okay, well we can get through the river. I don't want to lose signal just right here at the end of the drive, so... Another way home. I won't lose signal. Moment. Still getting a bit dark. About 5:30. I thought it was anti-poaching patrol, but...
No, same here.
I think it's fun.
Could have been the one.
No, it's just two wildebeest. Way down on the cut line. Catch up with the radio just before we close down as well, see what's going on. Question from Charlie. Wish I could have played that for you. From Becky. I'm going to try and mimic Becky. What would you do if you came across an injured animal and you were alone? Doo, doo, doo. That's how Becky said it to me over the radio. Okay, I haven't had this all day to be able to start my answer with what I normally start an answer with. Look at him. Look at him. It depends. Look at this magnificent bull. Charlie, it depends. Look at this magnificent bull, and he's, for a change, standing and feeding, and he's not even running away.
Oh, I'm paranoid.
Okay, I don't want to talk about injured animals in front of this kudu. Oh, he's magnificent. He's incredible. Yeah. Not enough light to record. It's heartbreaking, Charlie, sometimes coming across injured animals. There's another bull just on this side too that he's looking at. Just as big. Gone behind the bush. Generally, we differentiate between two types of injuries. There are the injuries that are caused through natural occurrences, and there are the injuries that are caused through human negligence or human greed. Injuries like caused through a snare or that's something that humans have done. And it's that kind of injury that then we would deal with it. And I've had to deal with it. I've had some really heartbreaking things where I've had to really question the policies of interfering, even if it is a natural injury. It can be very, very difficult. Look, you've got to remember that this is nature, and things have been going on here for millions of years before we came along. And as a consequence to that, or as a result of that, there are predators and there are things out here that are actually depending on animals that are injured. Remember, there's also the injured predator, maybe, that has got a thorn in its foot, or it's got a gash from a buffalo, or there's something wrong with it. That is a natural injury. It's not a life-threatening injury, but it is certainly hindering its hunting abilities. And if it comes across an injured or sick animal, it makes its life easier, and it gets it sort of over that hump of that injury to be well again. I mean, can you imagine a cheetah with a bit of a sprained leg, for example, and she's got cubs to feed, and there's this injured impala, and then we was to go through the whole motion of helping an injured impala when there's a cheetah like that that's depending on an injured impala so that she can get over her injury to feed her cubs, or that old male lion that wants to just live an extra few years. So it's very important that one doesn't do anything. It's very important that when it comes to natural injuries, you just have to suck it up. You just have to, as much as you might be passionate and compassionate, and as much as one might empathize with an animal, one has to remember this is the wild. This is not a zoo. This is not these animals. It's vital that they go through these processes. Hello, big boy. You are magnificent. Gosh, he's an incredible critter. As he leaves us. But there are also other factors involved. There are other things that are vital to the survival of the species of a particular animal. I mean, if an animal is injured and it can't overcome an injury or an illness or an ailment, then really is it worthwhile that an animal like that actually breeds and reproduces, and that maybe, just maybe, if it overcomes its injury, there's some special feature in it, there's something in its gene pool that makes it a stronger individual to justify it surviving and breeding, and say maybe there's another individual that can't overcome it, and hence there's justification in that animal being eaten. There's just so many angles to the whole thing, which is why it is important to. Oh, he's going to cross the road. Let's try and turn around quickly before we say goodbye. I'm going to cross the road if I don't miss it. But there's so many things. When it comes to human-induced injuries, on the other hand, it's a completely different matter, because an animal with a snare around it, there's nothing that's going to change its gene pool and its ability to survive. So there's nothing in its genes that's going to change its ability to survive a snare around its neck or its leg or something. So when humans have done something, then it's vital that we play a role. But there's even another facet to this question, and it's something that we've discussed so many times in the past, because we'll come across an animal on drives, and it's bound to happen at some point. He's browsing again, just in case he comes across the road, which he's about to do. Come, boyki. Here we go. Come along. One's waiting for you. The other aspect is what it takes to help an animal in the bush. An animal that does have an injury, say an animal that does have a snare or something around its neck, or the trauma, the stress, what that animal has to endure to get it fixed. And another thing is that I've lived with animals that have been through this process. Animals that we found with snares around their neck, where we've darted them and we've cut the snares off and watched them nurse themselves back to health and become really upstanding citizens in their community, becoming really, really strong individuals because they have the will to survive, and that becomes an important facet of survival. But in just the same way that an animal going through an injury, an animal dealing with an injury and pain is already going through stress, and then to dart it and to put it through that kind of stress. Anyway, I'm going to keep quiet now while I've just got this beautiful view of this bull crossing the road. Silhouette of him. Oh, he is incredible. Light on him. Does that help a lot? Or little? This is such a nice way to end the day with an animal like that. Depending on the animal and depending on the injury, you can actually kill an animal just by trying to help it. Because you have to dart it, you have to treat it, you have to put your scent all over it, you've got to put so many drugs through it. And then again, you know, the darting of an animal is not like it's a general anesthetic like we do when we go into theatre and we have a general anesthetic and we get an op or something. It's not the same. Because all it really is the neurotoxin. In a way, it's just a means of rendering an animal's nervous system inoperable, so the animal is actually still hearing, it's still seeing, it's still feeling. Well, maybe not feeling much, but it can't move its legs, it can't move. Basically, it's paralyzing the animal, but its senses are fully awake. And you're putting it through so much stress as to what? Fix a scratch or a cut or a graze or something. It's different. Broken legs. It's a hard thing to deal with. It is hard to make decisions. It's hard to see an animal that has a problem and then have to make the decision that, well, natural injury, it's got to look after itself, either heal, and believe it or not, broken limbs, even if they do heal all bent, they can heal. Generally speaking, we try and help predators where we can because their livelihood, especially if they have cubs. But it's such a huge subject discussion. What does one do, and whether one is willing to put an animal through so much extra stress and heartache. And that brings me to the end of the day. So goodbye, good night, see you tomorrow, bye. Ian and David in final control. From all of us at Wild Earth, and here at Thornybush Private Nature Reserve, good night, goodbye. Our full tires, no reason why we can't be.